How are you confining yourself in a relationship? We can get often entangled in a dating trap. And what exactly is that? That's when an unconscious relationship choice brings the result in an unsolvable problem within the relationship. Here are some points that I want to say. A lot of people do this, and it's kind of like a marketing trap, which you might find a bit strange. A lot of people out there believe that they need to make themselves more appealing in order to attract and sell themselves, and to show and to present themselves like they're an attractive packaging, or perhaps to present themselves as to project themselves to be more appealing. And it's kind of like a marketing trap, because a lot of people out there fear that nobody wants them as they really are. And by finding not shallow ways, but by trying to market yourself, there are many times people risk disappointment, and relationships can often fail. What is needed to overcome this is very simple. It's very simple, but very difficult to do by many people. We need to be authentic within ourselves, because by being authentic, you can actually attract people that can be compatible to you when you show them who you truly are. You just need to be you, right? And a lot of people are presenting a fake image out there by what they see out there in the world. Another thing that can get you trapped is many people focus on the outside packaging of people. For example, they might be looking at somebody's body, how they look, what job they have, what's their wealth status, what possessions do they hold, and they actually overlook the most important thing, which is to look at the reality of the person, how they are inside. All right? You need to be able to look beyond the outside packaging and to see if there is real compatibility within a person. I'm not saying to you that there shouldn't be chemistry, because chemistry is very, very important, but you need to put that in perspective and have quite an analytical mind to actually see what you are attracted to and why you are attracted to what you're attracted to. Because a lot of those things that we see on the packaging will not matter in the future. Looks can fade, the body will change. Even there are a job, somebody can lose their job, so they can go from riches to rags. So what's that going to bring to you if you were holding on to that? A lot of people out there unconsciously believe that there's not enough partners for them. There's not enough of possible partners for them, and therefore they think that you just need to take what just comes along in order not to be alone. And this results in a failure, because you are tempted to settle for less. If you're the type of person that doesn't believe you can get what you really want because there's not enough to go around, when you expect less, you get less in your life with relationships. A good strategy for this is to define your first choice of what you really want, and you need to persevere on that. And you need to trust that if you apply yourself, you can get what you really want in life. You have to find the ways to say no to stuff that you don't want. And stop being so available to things that are not good for you. You always have the power to choose who or what or where or when or how, and you can get what you really want if you make strategic choices that are aligned with what your vision is and what requirements you have. Compatibility can also be a trap when it comes to partnerships. Just by you guys having fun together and getting along well, and it might show that you're compatible and a committed relationship will work, but this can also result in a failure when you discover that there's a big difference between a fun-focused, recreational type of dating versus the serious, long-term committed relationship. The process of the criteria for choosing recreational relationships tends to be very different from choosing a partner that you want to spend the rest of your life with. All right. It is only when you are ready for a life partner that you need to be defining your requirements and use them to test potential partners out there. And you should not be trying to convert a recreational relationship into one that is committed unless 100% of your requirements are met. Another thing people do is that they expect magically that their ideal partner is just going to appear and they're going to have a happily ever after with them without any effort on their part. A lot of people believe that finding their soulmate will just happen, okay? And that leads to a lot of disappointment, right? When all of these knights happen to jump into your life and they don't end up becoming the king that you or the queen that you want. You need to be able to take personal responsibility for your relationships, right? All the choices and the outcomes that have come. You need to be choosing the type of person that you want, not the opposite where they choose you. You need to know what you want from a relationship. There is also another point that people can make the mistake is when they take a relationship and it seems to be developing, but they try to make it into an exclusive relationship with someone that they're dating. And they think that may lead to a successful committed relationship, that will happen, that will occur. This can cause a lot of people to waste serious time and, of course, their emotional energy. And this is quite a trap that a lot of people fall into. And people are trapped in a lot of pressure and they try to make these types of relationships work, and they attempt to resolve problems that are actually unsolvable, and they try to fit them, and force them because a lot of people are afraid of breaking up with the other person and they're afraid of being single and they don't want that outcome. So they try to use force. They force relationships that are not working out because they're trying to reach a certain outcome to that. So my advice would be, first of all, if you did not have the experience of dating a variety of people or to have fun with different types of people, you are not going to know what it is that you want from a relationship. There's some people that do, but a great percentage of the population does not really know what they want out of relationships. They just go day about day, because when it's time for you to be ready for a committed relationship, you need to have already defined what your requirements are. And then you need to have some tools in order to be able to screen the potential partners and if they fit certain goals. All right? Making a very careful relationship choice, right? That will determine if that will be the right relationship for you. Okay? Sometimes a lot of people make relationship choices based on how they feel, right? Based on the attraction that they have, of the party, and lots of people interpret the attraction like somehow like it's a sign that it's a good choice for them, and that is meant to be, and that can get people into trouble sometimes, because again, if you have this type of approach, the relationship can end in failure, because again, you find yourself not being able to solve problems, and problems always seem to surface because what happens is you ignored all the red flags because you've been infatuated, because you think that was love, but that wasn't love, it was infatuation, you know? What happens is people make unconscious choices, and usually they're always repeated, and the results are unproductive. And although all of these past patterns keep on repeating themselves all the time in different ways, you know, attraction can be described like a radar that helps you find your target, right? But you need to be careful, because just because you're attracted to something doesn't mean that it's the thing for you or that person is for you. You know, you need to be able to balance the attraction that you have towards the other person and find ways to define what requirements are you looking for in another person. And that will make you look at all of these, at this partner, for example, and see, right, if that's indeed what it is, or if it's just an illusion, you know, because choosing your life partner needs to be a very careful one, right? Because from this one decision that you will do in your life, right, 90% of your happiness or misery will come. You know what I mean? And interpreting infatuation, attraction, need, you know, good sex, and or attachment as love, you know, a lot of people think that if it feels good, it must be love, and love conquers all, and all you need is love, you know, because you're feeling so in love that you believe it must be a good relationship, you know. And after that initial infatuation, once that is gone, you spend the rest of your time together just trying to get it back, and it just doesn't come back, right? That's why you have to have it a strategy to make conscious relationship choices by defining your requirements and look at these partners if they're truly a potential for you and if they're good for you. You know, a lot of people focus on the chemistry under the covers, and they interpret sex as love, okay? And they use sex as kind of like a compatibility test, for example. So if the sex is good, then for them it might mean that the relationship will also be good as well. And that's not always the case, right? Some people get emotionally attached and they consider themselves in a kind of committed relationship as soon as they have sex, right? So again, you need to be making conscious relationship choices by defining the requirements of these potential partners. Okay, and you need to understand that a relationship, it needs much more than a great sex to be able to thrive, because it's not just the sex. Sex is quite important, but there's more that is needed, and that can put you on a flighty trip sometimes, because it blinds you. You know, it blinds you. Another set of people are those people that hope, like a hopeless romantic, where we say that they think that when they find a relationship that is going to solve their emotional, or perhaps even a lot of people their financial problems, and that can bring them happiness and fulfillment, and it's something like, you know, they're winning the lottery. You know, these types of people avoid taking responsibility for their life challenges, and they're expecting people to come and rescue them. Okay, and a lot of these people show signs that they can be quite desperate, they can be quite needy, and ultimately it leads to a lot of relationship failures, because instead of their problems magically going away, they actually multiply. The problems multiply, and on a much deeper level, and it gets these people quite hurt, because they're failing to define what it is that they want in their lives and their relationship. They live their life, right, based on how the other person makes them feel. So if the other person makes them feel happy, they feel happy. If the other person is sad, they feel sad. So they go with the flow of the relationship. They don't have a mind of their own to be understanding some things, because they're expecting it from the other person that's going to solve their problems, right? And what these people are failing or are missing is that before getting into a relationship, my biggest advice would be that these types of people need to be single. And why am I saying that? Because you need to resolve your own emotional needs first. You need to be financially dependent by your own first, right? Before you're trying to seek a lasting committed relationship, right? Because if you don't do that, the problems are always going to be coming back and back and back again. You need to be in a position to be making your own choice, right? And say what it is that you want after you have all these things. And you won't be coming from a needy place. And people don't like neediness. And after a lot of failed relationships, you might understand that. You need to be your own hero, and you need to rescue yourself, because nobody's going to do that for you. And that could only lead to a toxic type relationship and a constant circle and cycle. And there's other people out there that fall into the codependent type of relationships. They expect someone to love them and give them what they want by giving the other person what they want, right? They attempt to earn love and happiness by giving themselves and helping other people, right? Because they really want to be in a relationship, right? People might feel that they're not actually worthy of a relationship, and they need to do things in order to earn the love from the other person. So they go about pursuing relationships, and often they fall hard for them, because they feel incomplete when they're not with that person, right? They're trying to be the hero, okay, and therefore they're looking for someone who wants to be helped. But you will get to learn the hard way, although it feels good to be needed by others, right? Someone who needs you, right, might not necessarily be able to give you what you need, right? And the needing to be needed, it often results in unconsciously attracting and choosing a relationship with a person who needs you. But later on, disappointment is going to fail, because you're going to discover that person is unable to give you what you want or what you need, right? So you should choose wisely to have an aligned partner, right? You need to learn to be assertive. You need to identify and to ask yourself, what do you want? What are my wants? What are my needs? Right? You need to identify these things, and you also need to be putting boundaries when people are not delivering what it is that you need and want. You need to learn how to say no and not be codependent. Again, you need to be the chooser of these relationships, and be cautious of people around your space that actually choose you, because they might not be good for you. Right? Another set of people fall also into the entitlement trap. Okay? These are the type of people that believe that they deserve to be happy and to get what they want in their life without any effort and without changing anything about themselves. Again, this results in a failed relationship as the person can be relying on their partner to bring them happiness and fulfillment, right? And for sure, this is going to end in disappointment. Because if you continue to be doing what you've always been doing, you're always going to be getting the same results, right? So taking personal responsibility for your life and relationships are very important, right? Define what is your life purpose and live them while you're single. So you shouldn't be in relationships if you're not happy where you are. You're never going to find the one that you're looking for. Yeah? Another thing a lot of people get trapped into is believing that what you see is what you get. You know, many people can make hasty long-term relationship decisions based on the short-term impressions and the interferences instead of the actual experience and knowledge that they get from the relationships, you know. A lot of people get involved in relationships and they focus on the potential of the other person. They live kind of in a fairyland, okay? And they hope that some things that they really need to happen, that they're going to get better with time, you know, that things are going to change over time. And results don't really come in, you know? And then what happens? Failed relationships. You need to, when you meet people and you're dating them, you need to assume that you don't really know anything about them. You know, you need to get to know the other person, not based on the assumptions that you're making, because you don't know who the other person is. The other person can show you a lot of things, you know. Relationships, it's a journey, you know. Don't rush. Taking your time to meet the other person is very, very important. Don't fall in love with the potential. You shouldn't be falling in love like that. If you're a person that falls in love quite easy, that's a red flag, because you need to be examining the other person if they're the ideal match for you, right? Because people make up things in their minds just to feel better because of all of the emotional neglect that they've been through their lives. Right? When they see somebody, because there's so much dying to get an emotional connection by somebody because they missed that at some part of their life, they just fall into this race of making up things in their minds and just making assumptions and thinking, oh, this person is like this, they're amazing, and then only to be disappointed in the future. Yeah? There's another set of people out there that when they're single, they're so fucking miserable because while they're single, they still focus, they still have that goal that they're trying to find their partner. Yeah, believing that there's nothing more that they need in their lives, that's the only thing that's going to make them happy. You know, they meet people, right? They can meet just random people and they evaluate people, and they always making these people like a potential. Right? They don't take the opportunity to cultivate a friendship within this person to see who they truly are. They just keep on making things in their minds about these people, right? And they're times and times again, they get disappointed, and this results in isolation, right? And these results in them saying that there's no potential partners out there, and you know, and they risk settling for less because they don't want to be alone. They don't want to be alone. There are many cases that they can be dating multiple people, right? Just to try to catch. They try to put themselves out there and they try to catch to as many partners as they can because they don't want to be alone, right? They don't have any prerequisites about what it is that they want. So they can be talking about several different people, right? And they can't make up their minds. That's a sign that you need to be single. You need to be happy when you're single. You know? I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this, right? It's quite intimidating, right? What I said, but you need to recognize yourself when you get entangled in these kind of things. I've been through a lot of things in the past. That's why I'm sharing. These are all patterns, right? That we can change them just by being aware of them. All right? And relationships are very, very important, but the most important is yourself. You need to be able to find someone that's compatible with you, and only when you are well within yourself will you be able to find the love of your life and live the happily ever after. Nothing comes for free, all right? And it's not a coincidence that rare relationships that are amazing, it's a rare thing in this world, because people think that the other person is going to bring them happiness, and it leads to failures, it leads to breakups, it leads to a lot of things, and we need to be aware of these things. We need to be aware where we fit in that category of labeling people, as potentials, recognizing, identifying, and seeing what it is that we want. I hope this helps.